Today on the newscast, the Great Reset, how the push for global government and a digital currency is growing, and why 2030 is such a pivotal year for this sinister agenda. That's coming up. Hey folks, Eric Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. What would you say if I told you that by the year 2030, you'll own nothing, have no privacy, and yet you'll be happy? That you'll live in a cashless society where all currency is digital, and that everyone on Earth will require a digital ID to travel freely. And that much like communist China, you'll be given a social credit score that determines how loyal you are to this new global system and those who control it. The end game is a one world government. To many, this sounds like something straight out of George Orwell's 1984, but I believe an even better guidepost would be the Book of Revelation and the coming Antichrist-led system. Now, some very powerful global players led by the World Economic Forum and with the enthusiastic backing of some Western leaders, major corporations, and the UN are openly promoting this radical transformation of society. They call it the Great Reset. And folks, it's not a conspiracy or a theory when the people behind it are telling you out loud what they intend to do. I recently hosted a full special for TBN called What is the Great Reset?, which you can find right here on our channel under the category TBN Specials. It features my interviews with some incredible voices on this subject, including, among others, Pastor Jack Hibbs, Victor Davis Hanson, and the Kwok brothers. Now, Daniel and Sam Kwok host a great channel right here on YouTube called the Kwok Brothers Freedom Files, where they break down the true agenda behind the Great Reset. Be sure to subscribe to their channel at the Kwok Brothers. I spoke to them about why the year 2030 looms large for the Great Resetters and why a cashless society may not be that far off. Take a look. He heads up this World Economic Forum. They meet yearly in Davos, Switzerland, as you mentioned. But 2030 has been laid out by these great resetters like Klaus Schwab as a pivotal year for their agenda. Why is 2030 such a big deal for them?
Yeah, well, I think Sam could speak a little bit more to this, but my initial thoughts for me is, they've got a plan. But, if you look at everything that's going to happen, with writing on the wall, so to speak, it really points towards that being more so a 10-year plan as opposed to something they could just do right away. One of the things that we've discovered as we've been covering this topic the last 4 or 5 years is these guys are master psyops individuals. Mass psychology, they're masters at figuring out what they have to say, what narrative they have to push, what lever they have to pull to get everybody on board with their ideas. Right. And they understand that it's going to be a long process and it's going to probably resonate with the younger generation, which is why, him being 30, me being 28, we're so passionate about this because, we got to stand up. We can't just allow our generation to be taken hostage by ideologies that not only hurt scripture, not only hurt the teachings of Jesus, but also hurts our personal freedom. So I do believe that's kind of the famous saying is by 2030 you will own nothing and you will be happy.
You will own nothing and you will be happy. That's straight from the horse's mouth, from the World Economic Forum.
That's the motto. That's the theme of the Great Reset. So the World Economic Forum released, I believe it's a 2-3 minute video where it made some predictions, critical predictions by 2030. One of the main key thing is you will own nothing and you will be happy. And it's interesting. There's a man who's smiling. He seems very peaceful. He's calm. He's got this really bright grin, and with the caption of "You will own nothing and you'll be happy."
Well, how does that work in their view? You will own nothing, yet you'll be happy. What does that exactly mean?
Yeah. Well, they believe in a shared economy, meaning that, hey, everyone's going to rent out things, right? So, a lot of individuals who, I guess, criticize people like us who say that's not a good thing. They're saying, well, what if it's a world where it's a lot like Uber, where, people don't own their cars, they take an Uber. But, my counter argument to that is, well, the Uber driver owns the car. So, there's got to be some people who own something. And so, if we don't own anything, then, well, who will?
Digital ID, which you mentioned, Daniel, and digital currency, two concepts that are also very central to the Great Reset agenda. The digital currency, you can see the seeds for that being laid right now. Right. And digital ID as well. Vaccine mandates, I think, were a step in that direction during COVID.
Right.
how far down the line are we towards a digital currency, number one, and perhaps even digital ID?
Yeah, so in regards to CBDC, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. So what that is, you may have heard Bitcoin, DeFi, right? Decentralized finance, Bitcoin, Ethereum. These are blockchain technology-backed currency, which in essence could be a good thing. What the government and the central banks are trying to do around the world is harness that technology to then be able to create a centralized form where all transactions, whether it's made online when you go to the store or you go shop on Amazon, could be thoroughly monitored, it could be recorded. So the central banks want to design this, and typically they always seem to have a good reasons as to why. They have a list of good reasons. Hey, here's why this is going to be amazing. It's going to make transactions efficient, it's be less costly. We can do cross-border transaction, which actually feeds right into the narrative of eliminating sovereignty borders and making really the world one government.
Yeah.
But the central bank digital currency, CBDC, the threat of that, it has actually really good ties to the digital IDs because they want to give you money, or they want people who deserve, based on their standards, to have control over their money. So if they don't like what you did or didn't like what you said about them, they can shut your money down or put an expiration date on it and say, hey, your money is only good for the next 30 days, spend it wisely, and just completely shut your account down. And we've seen what happened in Canada with the trucker protest, donations frozen like that, and they're taken away.
Well, to give you an update is, it was one of the first things the Biden administration started working on and developing when he first got in office. I mean, literally one of the first initiatives was we got to develop this thing, and
the digital currency,
the centralized
a cashless society seems to be the end game.
Right. And not only that, but as Sam said, it is control. But I believe the primary reason why they're wanting to roll this out so quickly is to create a global economy, a globalized economy, because that's really the step right before a globalized government.
Thanks again to Daniel and Sam Kwok for those great insights. Folks, again, if you want to watch our entire interview, check out my TBN special, What is the Great Reset?, which you can find right here on our channel under TBN Specials.